It's time to dad.
Welcome in to a very spooky version of Time to Dad. I want to welcome everybody in to our latest episode here. We're going to talk about some Halloween topics and see where that takes us. It usually takes us in a lot of different directions, so we'll see how many topics we get to in this episode. How do you guys treat Halloween the first time around with your kids? What do you expose them to? What do you not expose them to? And how young do you start trick-or-treating with them?
Oh, we started pretty early. So my son was my first child was born in February. So by October, he was what?
He's doing beer math.
He was, yeah, I know. I'm trying to do math in my head, man.
I saw the hamster wheel going and the smoke coming out.
Dude, be glad I didn't have to kick off my shoes yet. That gets ugly because I didn't trim the toenails at all, man. So, anyways,
that's scary. That beer costume.
That'll make you make you scream. We actually started young, man, because he was all of our kids developed pretty quickly at that age. So they didn't know what was going on, but they liked playing dress up. So just push them around the stroller, and usually we get a costume that kind of all our costumes are together. Like last year we actually did Halloween at Disney and we were all dressed up as princesses and stuff like that. But then the other year we did
I'm shocked by that.
Really?
Josh.
You're shocked by that, really?
I didn't take
Shocking
you for a Disney
development.
guy.
He spent time at Disney.
For the listeners that don't know at home, my wife is a Disney travel agent, so that's the inside joke here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and then the other year we did Peter Pan. So my youngest daughter, we had her dressed up as Tinkerbell, and then my wife was Wendy, I was Peter Pan, my son was Captain Hook, and then my second youngest daughter was one of the Lost Boys. So, but I think getting them in early is not such a bad thing. We don't give them the candy, of course, because we don't want them up all night.
What? That's the best part, man.
Dude, that's like baby crack, man.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
The grandparents do it anyway, even when it's not Halloween. So,
Trust me,
my
I
mom
know.
sends them home loaded all the time. I can tell. I'm like, Grandma gave you some of the good stuff. He's like, yep.
It wasn't always like that, boy.
Yeah.
Is it real trick-or-treating?
No. Yeah.
Is it real trick-or-treating where you guys live? Is it trunk-or-treating? Is that
I was going to say, we started out, I can't remember if it was his first 2 or 3 years, but the first year, he was born in December, so the first year he was not quite 1 yet when he went out, and we took him to my sister's house, we took him to my mom's, we took him to some local family houses for our family in town.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second year, we took him to the same family houses, and then we took him around to some of the neighbors he knew because they love seeing little kids in costumes. And then I think each year we just kind of progressively built it. So the year after that, we actually walked down our little block of the neighborhood and back. And then the year after that, we did a big loop. And then this past year, we had some new neighbors move in, and they have a friend that rents out this giant fucking inflatable slide. So they had this big old, bring your kid over and let him go ape shit pregame type thing. And then we walked around he was with a little group of neighborhood kids that walked around last year. So it's like a baby steps thing. Started small, and each year it really depends on how far he wants to walk and when he gets tired. But the first couple of years, we pulled him around in the wagon. And so I'd pull him down the street. We'd get to a driveway. I'd take him out, and he'd run up to the steps and try and kill himself on the steps. That's the biggest thing is when you do let him go, you got to go up to the steps with him because they'll fucking biff it in a hurry, especially if they have a baggy costume on. But
or if they got other kids. If they're chasing the other kids.
Oh, they do that. Yeah, and they run through people's yard and trip over shit. Yeah, it's a shit show, man. But I don't.
But dude, the costumes now are so much better.
Yeah, but they're also twice the price.
Yeah, they are. Jesus.
My grandmother used to make my costume.
Oh yeah, dude, I was
really.
That's commitment.
I was like
King Kong
G.I. Joe one
was
year.
epic.
King Kong. Shit.
She made a
Dude, King
King Kong. I got the King Kong. Give me a sec. King Kong is here. She modeled it after this
King Kong
vintage King Kong stuffed animal that I begged for at Universal. This is like 1993, and so she just made a costume based on the stuffed animal.
Damn,
but
man.
it was, in my memory, it was amazing. I mean, I look at the pictures and I'm like, yeah, that's a little. She did a great job, but it didn't look quite as spot on as it did in my memory.
Nice.
But
That's fine.
yeah, I mean that I can remember her like piecing it together and like.
Well, shit.
That was just like a bonding.
There's a side topic. Costumes on a budget, man. Being I remember as a kid, one year my sister and I were hobos, so we got on some like grungy clothes. I think my parents like dirtied them up. They burned some cork and like rubbed it on our faces, and that was like, we just looked like we were grungy hobos one year. And then the other year I think was kind of a low down thrifty costume. I was Rambo, so I already had like a camo sweatshirt and pants. And I think they bought me like a little machine gun somewhere.
I wasn't messing around. I got King Kong right here. Look at that.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that. They don't make them like that anymore.
That is not the costume though, right?
No, this was what she modeled.
I thought you still had the real costume laying around.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Honestly, I wouldn't doubt that either. Somehow, some way.
It's in somebody's attic.
My mom has like a costume hanger up in the loft, and like every costume from every year that hasn't fallen apart, you can go and access it.
My wife does that because she uses them for like. She's like, oh, I never know when I'll need to do a family shoot, and I'll need this fucking lion costume.
It's the budget part of it, I think, for my mom, because like they never gave in. The only way you would get a decent costume is if you got it 90% off after Halloween the year before, and something was left that was worth having. She would scoop that, and then you could be that the next year, but it probably would get lost, and you just would forget about it by then.
Nice. That's our son.
So I remember our costume on a budget when I was a kid was Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Green sweatsuit, made a shell out of something, and a raggedy bandana with a hole with eyes cut in you. Green paint. You're done.
That's a good one.
This is ghetto.
I was listening to a guy, like a sales guy, talk about how there's no such thing as a bad idea because somebody pitched the idea for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that there were people like, okay, what? You're going to have turtles and they're bossed around by a rat and they eat pizza and there was...
It was the 80s, man. He's probably tripping balls when he came up with that idea.
Somebody green gave that the green light, against all odds. So
and it's still a pretty big franchise. Like it's still going.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. Yeah, it's a big.
It feels like maybe I'm only aware of it now because I've got young kids, but it feels like it's having a resurgence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well. So they just came out with that new movie, of course. But also, I've also read online that they're working on an adult cartoon that's going to be true to the comic. So it's like it's going to be as gritty as the comic was. Which I'm like
Spawn, dude.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I remember when Spawn came out with the movie, and they had a series for a hot minute, I think.
Yeah. I remember the series.
I wasn't allowed to go down that aisle at the comic shop.
Now that was a freaky clown.
Yeah.
Holy dog crap. That was a freaky clown.
Speaking of things you don't introduce your kids to, clowns scared the hell out of me as a kid. I don't know what set you guys off, but clown, and not clowns at like the circus. If it had to be like an intentionally creepy looking like horror clown.
Yeah, I had a murder clown mask from Halloween a couple of years ago, and I found it in the garage when I was still living in Washington. And I remember
scare the shit out of your wife.
Turning out my kids, and I won't do that too often. I think that is still scarred for life. Metaclowns.
I had a super irrational fear of the Easter Bunny.
Oh boy.
Like, and I know, and I no shame about it, or plenty of shame about it at this point, but I just would have nightmares. And if you look like way back, like this, like 60s and 50s, that Easter Bunny was scary. And in my head, like the giant Easter Bunny that you would take the picture with at the mall, like I'm sure in 80s and 90s that was probably an ugly looking costume, and I just would have these nightmares ongoing about that bunny chasing me, because I'm small and it's a giant guy in a bunny suit. That was my ultimate fear, I guess.
Bunnies.
So, funny story about clowns. So whenever I worked at one of the places that I used to work at, I had a boss who was afraid of dwarfs and clowns.
Mm-hmm.
We just so happened to have a dwarf that worked there, so we paid him to dress up as a clown.
Double whammy.
Hid under his bed at work.
Wow.
Because where we worked we worked
sleep
24
rooms.
hours, so we
Yeah.
so we sleep room. We had him hide under his bed with a butcher knife, and he was always the first one to go to bed. And 5 minutes after he goes to bed, we hear this shriek from the sleep room, and he's curled up in a ball in the corner. And the guy we paid is like, "Come here!"
That's funny.
That's brutal.
We so we had the state fair. What was it? 2 weekends ago, and we rode like everything in Little Kitty World, and Little Man was not impressed with Kids Land rides. So we wandered over to where the like adult rides were, and he saw the little haunted house ride, and he's like, "All right, let's go." And he was not fucking taking no for an answer. So we were like, "All right, we'll take you through." And luckily, it was so cheesy. It was he was laughing. He had his eyes closed at first because we told him it was going to be scary, but then he opened his eyes and thought it was hilarious. But then we go to the pumpkin patch, where at night they have like 3 or 4 different type things. So they have like the haunted woods you can walk through. They have a big ass haunted barn you can walk through. And so as soon as he found out there were haunted houses there, he's like, I want to go to these. And I was like, dude, these are not like the fair haunted house that did not scare you. And so we pretty much had to drag him out of there kicking and screaming because he wanted to go to the haunted house.
Doesn't Universal do like 25 different haunted houses at Halloween? I mean,
yes. So they do Halloween Horror Nights. I think this year they're doing eight houses. I think
8 houses,
but a lot of them. But they have an agreement with Blumhouse Productions, and if y'all don't know who that is, they're the ones who produce all the recent hits in the horror movies, like Trick or Treat. I know that one was their big one. I'm trying to think of some of the other houses, but their houses are based off of those films, and it's really
so probably legit special effects and makeup.
Yeah, they're legit. Like they did a Stranger Things one a few years ago, and it was the Demogorgons were friggin' awesome.
Yeah, our
so it was pretty impressive.
We have a Busch Gardens, which I think is a sub of Six Flags, and then we have a King's Dominion down here, and they do like the Halloween stuff, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any like segregated like haunted houses. They just have people in sketchy costumes that wander around and walk out of the woods and bushes and shit, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I know there's I know they're like they scare the piss out of you. Like it's pretty scary there. I've also was it Knott's Berry Farm, I think is another one, like up north.
That's what we have.
I've heard theirs is I've heard theirs is pretty good.
If the word farm is in the name around here, it's usually pretty freaking legit.
Yeah. So we do have one haunted house here. I don't know if it still is, but it used to be the longest haunted house in the world, called Cutting Edge, and it was legit.
Is McCamey Manor in Texas, or is it somewhere else?
What? There is a couple of manors here. I know there's one out east of Dallas.
Yeah, I forget the guy. If you want to see like a sketch, like they push people to their limits, like mentally, and like Google McCamey Manor haunted house if you want to like see some sketchy shit.
Is that the one to where they make you sign a waiver?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard. I don't know if they're here, but I know there's one here that they make you sign a waiver.
I wonder. But that was like, yeah, I don't even remember how I think I was trying to find one locally, and somehow that came up, and I was like, well, this is interesting. So then I went down a wormhole of watching all their crap, and the stuff they do to people is like, no, I'm like, who volunteers to be treated like this? They're like dunking people in water and locking them in little tiny boxes and screwing with. I mean, it was terrible.
No, I'm not paying someone to do that.
That's the thing. You're not even just volunteering. You're paying to do it.
No.
It's like, all right, here's I'll pay you $20 so I can go play in traffic. No.
Yeah.
Just no.
To each their own.
Yeah. There's an ass for every seat.
There's a
oh man,
there's a legitimate haunted house in my town that supposedly has ghosts that you can spend the night at. I have not
like a
not
hotel
gone in that direction.
or is it like a
It's an abandoned house. I don't know the full history of it, but you can't mistake any other house for the haunted house. It's a big Victorian style house, and
nice.
yeah, it's pretty freaky looking from the outside. And they put like random lights in certain windows at night, and you can stay there. Apparently, it's been
so
on.
You like stay there legit. Like the cops aren't gonna come kick the door in and drag you out.
No, you can stay there legit. It's been on like ghost shows on, TV and stuff like that.
I worked for, I ran the Merchants Cafe. It's Seattle's oldest pub, oldest bar, and that's haunted, and it's been on several paranormal
did you
shows.
see some sketchy shit while you were there?
There was definitely weird shit, but it's just creepy as fuck as well. And then it had like 6 apartments above it that are sort of Airbnbs, and it's not done intentionally to be sort of creepy or haunted or anything like that. It just is, but because it's like 130
old architecture and stuff.
Yeah, and everything's creaky and it's narrow and there's the white lights.
It smells old.
Yeah, and all the ghost tours come through and do their tour through there and all that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we got a lot of haunted towns here in Texas. Like we have, because from the Spanish colonies and stuff like that. Like, not Fredericksburg, Jefferson, Texas. Like, and then there's the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, and they've all been on these haunted go shows. And then like they even went out to some of the battlegrounds too. Man, that's like have you ever seen them like go out to Gettysburg?
Yeah,
and seen.
I was gonna say that's what we have is we have a lot of like historic Civil War battlefields around here, and a lot of them they say there's some crazy paranormal activity at them. But
yeah,
and Richmond itself has like a whole haunted. It's like a candlelit haunted tour you can do. I've never done it, but apparently it's pretty legit.
Cool. I wonder if they would frown on me showing up like with a proton pack and just walking around in like a Ghostbuster outfit.
Probably not, man. I'm sure they get some characters on those tours anyway, dude. Just some people that are really, really far out there. So it's probably normal.
Have y'all seen it where like on the Tesla, how they have the sensors
yes,
like
I've
in the
seen
front
that shit.
that they'll drive through a graveyard and they'll have those sensors will go off.
They
dude, that's like I'm wondering.
There's a show on it's kind of cheesy 95% of the time, but there's a show on Discovery. I forget what it's called, but they go do like paranormal investigation, and they have a little device that's basically just like how Tesla senses everything. And so they'll call out to like some entity that they think is there, and then all of a sudden this device picks up like the shape of a body in a fucking chair all of a sudden. Which you're like, man, how much of this is theatrics and like what's legit? Because you're not there, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of funny to watch. But the whole goddamn show is cheesy. It's just like way over the top for what it should be.
I think as soon as
have y'all?
It's gonna.
Oh no, Luke.
Just as soon as it's a ghost show, there's gonna be that element of cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you wonder what they do if they get to the location and they got jack shit and nothing is paranormal and they're like their meters are doing nothing. Like at what point in the filming are they like, well, we're about $200,000 invested in this.
Yeah.
Like we gotta.
Mhm.
Did you say? Are you sure you didn't see anything over there? Like maybe you did say that. Let's go. So
Do over.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But,
So speaking of shows, favorite horror movie there.
Oh,
I loved it as a kid and it scared the shit out of me. And then I watched it as an adult. And I was like, what the fuck was wrong with me as a kid? Like, it's the least
Yeah.
movie there is. So fake. And I'm just like, what? But as a kid,
Which,
so real.
which movie?
It's
Oh, It.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the '90s version, man. Like
that's what
I don't think I've
90s
seen the '90s
with
one.
like Tim Curry of all people. Oh yeah, it's got Tim Curry as the clown, like of all people. Yeah, so you got the guy from the Rocky Horror Picture Show playing as a clown, and of course I knew Tim Curry from Home Alone. So for me to see him in that, I was like, oh, this is a kid safe show.
Yeah.
No.
the Exorcist just had its 50th anniversary. And that's
Oh really?
yes, freaking movie that.
I think.
Oh dude. So is it like I don't know if there's ever any shows that really scared me, but like
Have you seen
I
The
kinda thought that-
Exorcist?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably
dude.
my go-to
Oh,
classic like horror movie.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, dude, have you ever seen The Exorcism
Yeah.
of Emily Rose?
Yeah,
Dude, that's
all of the Exorcist, like the original and the spinoffs, are pretty legit.
Nah. I watched The
Well,
Exorcist
You don't
season
like
one.
that? They'll fuck with you, man. Those are the only movies where I can legitimately get in my own head after watching them about like creepy shit. So what? It was the original actress that they claimed was actually possessed after recording it. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Really?
ended up in the Black Hole or something.
I did.
Which you're
I
like,
did not
okay,
hear that.
did she just like
Well,
mind fuck herself getting into the role and that's like, what happened? Like she got too into it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
kind of like with Heath Ledger
Yeah,
after
yeah.
Batman. He had to get like help because he went so dark.
He was
But he
addicted
nailed
to
that
the
freaking
role, man.
Ambien and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, he did, man. He's the best Joker. I'm sorry, he's the best of all
Yeah.
time.
he was good.
But also like and also some of these Halloween movies are like they were cursed, I guess you can say, like the Poltergeist. Like how many people died that were in
I
the
didn't even know
Poltergeist?
that
Like
fun fact.
shortly after, like so like the little girl died
Oh.
shortly after the movie was done. Yeah, I think she got pneummonia or something and died of septic.
I heard that as well. I heard that in South Africa.
Huh.
About that.
What
Yeah,
about,
there's a lot of people who
I was gonna say I really liked the way the Blair Witch Project was shot.
Yeah,
oh yeah that
I thought
Like
one of
that
the
first
first movies
person-
that came out with the sort of whole handheld.
Yeah,
yeah
It set the stage for everything after that. That is just like you holding a selfie stick in front of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the Blair Witch Project, we may not have selfies. I mean, it really, if you think about it.
true
Yeah.
fact.
what was that one movie to where like they were staying in the house and they were trying to capture this demon on film. I can't think of the name of it. Oh, Paranormal.
Yeah, that was pretty
Activity.
legit.
Y'all
Paranormal
ever watch it? That was
Isn't that where you see
creepy as
the guy sleeping and they got the security camera or whatever? You see the sheet
yeah,
sort of just move off.
yeah.
Or I think there's one scene where they put baby powder on the ground, and then when they turn out the lights, they hear all this stomping. They turn back on. There's these massive, like, three-toed
What's,
footprints everywhere.
There's that other one that's had a couple movies where they follow like a couple families that think they have like a demon in their house. What the hell is the name of that? There's two or three of them.
Are you talking about the one that like the
that might be it.
yeah the
Where it's all like shot through like their
Well, and
personal.
then-
They have like Nest Cam type cams in their house, and that's like how the whole.
Oh no, I
I
don't
gotta
know.
look it up. It's gonna bug me now.
Well, there's also the Amityville Horror
I've
too. 'cause
seen
that's
that,
based
yeah.
on a true story.
This was supposed to be
Or The
more like
Shining,
real
man.
life. It was very Blair Witch-esque in the way it was shot. Because everything that was happening in the house, there wasn't any first person. It was kind of the opposite of Blair Witch, I guess, because everything that happened was recorded through like security cameras around their house. So it was an interesting perspective. I'm gonna have to look it up now if I can figure out what it is.
I always
Well,
liked the Alfred Hitchcock. Like, I know it's not horror, but that
Classic though, man.
yeah,
Classic. Like, are you
Rear
talking Bird
Window,
or-
Rear Window, Birds, Psycho.
Oh, I've seen
I mean,
Psycho.
those were kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like those. Did you see that guy at Comic Con this year that's dressed up as the Christian Bale version of American
Mm-mm.
Psycho?
No,
You all seen that video? He looks just like him, and he's dragging a body bag around with a big knife. Looks just like him. Dude, people thought he was Christian Bale, but
Funny.
it wasn't. They
That
did
was
a
a
really good
crazy
job.
movie.
of that.
Not really horror
It's a
though,
crazy
but
ass movie, man.
definitely a good movie.
No, it just,
no.
but
It's
of
like-
course, how can I not talk about horror movies and not include Texas Chainsaw?
I do have
Massacre?
a soft spot.
Never heard of
what? Oh, okay. I was
Joking.
like,
Do what?
I was
I
like,
said
damn.
never heard. of
I didn't
it.
hear what you said.
Yeah, those are pretty
But,
solid.
yeah, that was actually shot down in Austin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
It was just outside of Austin. Yeah, it was
do a
out in
tour,
Travis
right?
County.
You could do a tour, right, and see. Like,
Right? Yeah, you can.
yeah, places
The
where-
house is still there.
mhm.
Crazy.
So, but yeah, it was shot out in Austin. It's way out in Travis County. I think you can stay there now at that house. I think.
Do
or
you
something like
ever
that.
watch the
But-
any of the like spoof movies, like Leprechauns in the Hood? Was kind of funny. There's a Thanksgiving, I think it is, and it's a fucking killer turkey.
Oh my god.
There's
Really?
What about the Abraham Lincoln?
Vampire. I never
Vampire
watched
Slayer?
it. I never watched it.
I actually read the book too, like because it's based on a book. The book wasn't bad. I mean, it's
It
good
was
fiction.
way better than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be absolutely terrible. I was actually quite surprised that it wasn't that.
I might have to peep
Yeah,
it
it was
then.
decent.
I saw the title. I was like,
Some
nah,
good
it's
Abraham Lincoln
not for me.
There's no
Have y'all
no
seen the
such thing
trailer?
as a bad
Yeah.
idea,
Yeah.
right? No,
No, I mean, you make anything good. Have you seen the trailer for the new horror movie that's coming out called Thanksgiving? And it's supposedly about a killer who wears the I forget what the name of the guy is, but it's like a Guy Fawkes mask, and he's wearing like a pilgrim outfit. He's just
I have
killing
not seen-
people. That's what the whole thing's
shit.
based on.
Speaking of pilgrims,
So,
Children of the Corn. For some
Forgot
reason,
about that
Pilgrims and Corn is where I went. Children of the Corn, man.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh yeah, and there's like 3 of them, 3 or
Wait,
4,
what, 8,
or maybe
like,
more.
There was
Oh my
no,
God,
there was more
it
than
just
that.
kept going.
There was like, yeah, loose looking it up now.
So
We
many.
there was a ton of them. Or Pet
92,
Cemetery.
95, 96, 98,
Oh man, they're
99,
on a roll.
I see. I told you, there's a bunch of them.
That's funny.
and 2001.
I heard they're redoing that series. Let me say, I heard they're redoing that series now.
Really?
Ah,
Yeah, they're redoing.
Oh,
Children of
they did
the
one
Corn.
in 2020.
Okay,
There's
maybe that was
9
it.
different variations of Children of the Corn.
I'll throw a.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna. I think what I remember about Halloween as a kid, which my kids will never experience, is you would actually watch TV shows on TV at the time they were on TV, and you had to like record it. Like there wasn't streaming, and they would have Halloween night for like TGIF or whatever when I was a kid, and I just remember like all the Halloween episodes would be in succession. So just different TV shows when they do a themed Halloween episode, I always looked forward to that when I was younger.
Roseanne had the best ones, I thought, man.
Yeah.
I always loved her.
I
I always loved those.
I remember when I was finally old enough, when I had sleepovers to my dad would let us watch the Tales from the Crypt TV show.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like our thing. We'd do sleepovers and watch that shit late at night.
Are
Do you
a fan
remember
of
when
dark?
they had
that too.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Do you remember that they had the cartoon version of Tales from the Crypt that would come on like Saturday
I don't
mornings?
recall that.
It was on for like one season, I think.
I can picture the
And they were
animated
pretty much the
guy,
same
but I
stories.
can't. I don't think I ever watched the episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. I watched like it was pretty much the same thing as the Tales from the Crypt. It was just kid friendlier, you know.
like the Goosebumps
But,
book series.
yeah. Yeah. So, but they're redoing Goosebumps now too.
Every
Have you
every
seen that?
book fair,
That they
I had
redid
to
the
get the
Goosebumps?
latest Goosebumps book.
Oh,
whichever-
yeah.
I always got whichever
Yeah,
one
that was
had the like coolest cover. Like they had the shiny, sparkly covers on some of them. Some of them were
Oh
like
yeah.
textured covers. Totally only read half the book. but-
Genius
Yeah, there was-
marketing.
What was
Genius
the other
marketing.
series? Oh, it was smart marketing. What was the other book series that competed with Goosebumps? There was another one that wasn't, but it wasn't near as good. You can tell it was like the greater value
Kroger brand.
brand or like the
Remember, like,
wish.com of it.
was it like Metamorphosis where they would just
I think
like,
so.
Yeah,
it was,
they would
it was
I
something
don't
like
know
that.
that
it
one.
would turn
I don't
into
remember.
animals, and on the
Oh,
cover, like
yeah.
half of the cover
Yeah.
it would be the
Oh,
human,
yeah.
and then they would turn into whatever animal.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Buffy the Vampire
remember that
Slayer
too.
was my horror series crush, if you can call it horror.
Mhm.
Oh, dude.
I like Sabrina.
Teenage
Sabrina
Witch,
the
yeah.
Teenage Witch.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure, dude.
so-
Oh man, where's what was young Jessica Alba on? Was it Dark Angel? Was that the
Charmed?
TV
Was
show?
it Charmed?
I'm picturing
No,
Clarissa
because Charmed
explains
was,
it all for some
oh.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, Charmed, dude. All three of those were smoke shows.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Do an episode about that. We're getting distracted. but-
That's what we do,
Dude,
man.
y'all, I know, right?
That's what we do.
This
You
next
thought we were
episode is
talking
called-
about Halloween.
what?
Now we're
It's
talking
called-
about teenage crushes.
Hotties.
This next episode, guys, is going to be called Hall Pass. So we're going to talk about that next.
That's funny.
No, like, have you ever gone back and watched some of the old ones, like Freddy
Yeah.
and Jason and Friday the Third? You just kind of laughed at some. Like, I think my favorite one is where Jason goes, picks up the guy in the sleeping bag, and bangs him against
God,
the tree.
I forget which one it was. It's one of the newer ones. I want to say it was one of the Michael Myers ones. And he just walks into the room. I think he stabs the person in bed and then just accordions the mattress with the person in it.
Oh yeah,
And I was just like, what?
I remember that. So I always laugh because like these people are getting killed like during sex.
Well, that's how they
so
sell
imagine if you're the
tickets.
girl that's on. Well, of course, but just think of it this way: if you're the girl that's on bottom, the guy's on top, the guy gets stabbed, he goes, she's probably thinking, he's already done.
Then he's
No, and then there's
dead.
nitric. You're shish kebab
It's like
together.
the accuracy where,
Congratulations.
where both people don't die. Just the person on the top dies.
It
doesn't go- It doesn't go down from what I understand because that's how Matthew McConaughey's dad died.
It does
Like,
not.
he had a heart attack while making love to Matthew
That's-
McConaughey's mother. It's in
That's
this book.
right.
And
Yes.
she didn't want them to cover the body when they were
Oh,
wheeling
geez.
it out of the house. So she like tore off the blanket and she's like, "No, that's a man," like so I'm pretty sure it goes on. It
I
lives on.
have a
really.
coworker that took he was taking human anatomy class, and if you've ever been in one of those labs, they've got the big metal tables and there's cadavers on them, and
Yeah.
all the males were pitching tents when they walked into the lab to start doing whatever they were going to do for their lesson.
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, so, well, it's funny that you say that about the Matthew McConaughey book because I just got through reading that like a few weeks ago.
Green
And
Lights.
dude, if y'all have not read that book, listeners at like home, if y'all have not read that book yet, read it. You can actually listen to it for free on the Libby app, the Libby app.
Product placement.
It's you pretty much check the book out like
It's
do
not
what?
just
Product
listening to the
placement.
book; it's listening to him.
Yeah, it's listening to him.
perform his own
Yeah,
book. is
I
really
listened
what
to
the-
it.
Yeah, Yeah, it's one of those books that only he can read. You know, it's
Interesting.
that only he can.
Is it? It's like a.
Audible.
It's
It's
like
really
a,
good,
a
though.
biography, like an autobiography.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really. Did you know his dad used to play for the Green Bay Packers?
Hmm.
Yeah, he was a defensive end for the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I didn't know that either. But
Josh, I can't
He was-
believe you know about Matthew McConaughey being from Texas. That's again
Yes.
shocking me. Between that and the Disney, I don't even know you anymore.
That's funny.
That is it's a very good book though. It really
oh, it's a
is.
great book.
Yeah,
So,
impressive
But-
guy.
oh, man. But what are some other like? I'm trying to think of like some other. Oh, did y'all remember? Was it My Bloody Valentine or something like that?
Yeah.
Did y'all ever see that? Like where the jaw just hooks the jaw and pulls the jaw off.
Yeah,
Pet Cemetery.
Oh man, it's just
Stephen King.
I liked.
iconic.
It's more like zombie weirdish, but the Silent Hill movie, I thought was pretty solid.
Oh, that is good.
But that's my like video
Yeah,
game
or,
nerd coming out.
What was the Netflix series they did? It was 3 seasons, I think. Was it Haunting of Hill House?
That sounds familiar.
Is
I
that
didn't
it?
watch it though.
I watched it. It was really good. Like the ending had a great twist. It was really. I remember that. That was actually really good. The storyline was good. But yeah, man, I'm trying to think of some of the older movies that are out there. They're like classics that you have to watch
Mm.
every year, man. Because I mean, I think we nailed them all.
I
Like,
mean, you
Friday
gotta
the
if you're
13th,
talking kids
Jason.
movies, you gotta watch the Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Luke's like,
So
fuck is that?
there's
What is that?
another one.
It's a. Do you know who Charlie Brown
he's like,
is?
who the fuck's
Like the
Charlie
cartoon.
Brown?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
it's an episode. They call it the Great Pumpkin, and it's kind of like a Santa Claus thing where the Great Pumpkin comes out at Halloween, and so the whole episode's like Halloween geared, and they meet the Great Pumpkin and all that shit. So if you like Charlie Brown stuff, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
The kids will like it.
I just remembered another one. Pumpkinhead?
I
Do
know. the
y'all
name,
remember
I
that
didn't
one?
See it.
Yeah, it was one of those like B or C films, you know.
Scream.
There was another kids one that came out in was it '93 called The Halloween Tree. It was based on the book. Do y'all remember that at all? I faintly
My
remember, but
son
it's based on a
likes.
book. But it was
He's big into Nightmare Before Christmas. He's been digging on
Ooh,
that.
that. So it's funny. We were watching that the other night, and my son was loving it, but my daughter was.
The very beginning
She
is a
was not. She was like,
little bit creepy, where they're like running through all the characters singing and shit. That can be a little creepy.
yeah.
And
I mean, she
Oogie
still likes the
Boogie's
songs,
scary
but
as
it's
fuck.
creepy,
I'm sorry,
man.
but if I was a little kid watching that,
He is.
Oogie Boogie would scare the shit out of me. It's basically a. He kind of looks like a goat. Have you ever seen it, Luke? Okay, I didn't think so. You're staring at it. It's all funny. But so he's basically a character, and his body's made of this like old like burlap sack. And the only reason he can move is because that sack is filled with like bugs and shit. So he's kind of creepy for little kids, I think.
Yeah, well, especially there, like the end
Yeah,
where
and all
he
the
comes
bugs are
undone
like,
and all the
Yeah.
bugs come out. Yeah. So, what about? I think I already said this. What about Pet
Sematary, yeah.
Cemetery.
Yeah, we talked
Do y'all
about that
remember?
one.
Yeah, that's a
Annabelle is creepy.
classic. Annabelle, dude, that's freaky. What was that one that?
Chucky?
Chucky.
All the
that?
9 million
Chucky.
Chuckies?
Yeah.
Oh my
You
god!
see the life-size dolls in the toy stores. You're like,
Oh my god, the name has just.
Oh,
Where, he pops his head through the door. Here's Johnny. What? Yeah.
Shining.
Yeah.
Shining.
I can't think of the name of
I've
that.
been to that.
yeah.
The hotel in Colorado. I did a ghost tour there. It's in Estes Park, Stanley Hotel. So, and that was they used that hotel in ironically Dumb and Dumber, and
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
while they were filming, Jim Carrey, and this was a story they told you on the ghost tour. He rented out the honeymoon suite, and it was the biggest room in the hotel, whatever. So the rumor was that room was haunted, and that the maid would haunt the room, but she was in a good way. Like she literally would like fold laundry for you and stuff, and housekeeping would be like, we didn't go in that room, like creepy, like weird things like that, turning the water on, things, something that a maid would do. But Jim Carrey checked out in the middle of the night while filming, and he was supposed to stay there for a few nights. On the first night, he left in the middle of the night, and he didn't say why. He just checked out, kind of like spooked. And the rumor is that he probably had a woman there of, whatever, like a girlfriend, what have you. And they believe that if you weren't married, if you weren't married, it was believed that the maid in the honeymoon suite would actually like at least give you the perception of being between a man and a woman in bed to keep them from, actually doing the deed, because they weren't married, and she was, it's the honeymoon suite, and that's her room. So that was the rumor, and that's what the ghost tour said. So that's kind of
never heard that.
Yeah, so you can go and tour it in Estes Park.
That.
It's really cool hotel.
I don't mind like shit happening and doors closing or thinking I'm seeing or hearing stuff, but when it comes to like something physically interacting with you, that's where I draw the line. I don't need none of that shit going on.
Have y'all ever read the book or watched the movie? Was it 1301? I think is the name of it. Is that it's based on that?
Yeah,
the book was
was that a Rob Zombie film?
I think
that was House of Doors.
That's
House
right.
of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I don't think Rob Zombie
Devil's Reject.
That. Yeah, I don't think Rob Zombie directed 1301, but John Cusack was in it.
Yeah, that was a pretty fucked up movie.
Yeah, so. But then how can we have a Halloween episode and not talk about one of the best ghost films of all time? Ghostbusters.
Yeah. My kids are crazy.
Dude, it's just so many iconic lines that you can just use.
Are you the keymaster?
Every time that I'm at work and someone goes, uh-oh, or they act like they screwed up, my first reaction is, what did you do, Ray?
Loves Slimer.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get
so good?
Did you get into the American Horror Story series?
We did quite a few of them.
Dude, some of those are like freaking weird.
Yeah.
Dude, the first season.
Like before I really got into it, like my wife watches a lot of shit that she claims we both watch, and it's really just her watching it while I'm like scrolling Facebook. And I'd look up because something freaking weird as hell would be going on, and I was just like, "What the fuck are you watching?" But then it would get to like a series that I thought was okay, and so I'd watch it, and that show is just super. I don't know, like it's crazy raunchy at times, and it's just out there, man. Like I don't know where they come up with the scripts for some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like that first season was like that really threw you for a loop, man. Like super dark and
was that the circus one?
They've all
with the
no. The first one was the house.
Yeah, like
yeah. I think that was season 2 or 3 was it? Supposedly they're all connected somehow. Like, but no, I think the first season was because I know I had that guy from Private. What was that TV show? Private Practice or something. I see his face, but I can't think of his name. But he was one of the lawyers. Anyways, he's the dad, and I forget who the mom is, and they've been trying to have babies, but they end up. I think in the end, I think they all end up dying and becoming ghosts and having to stay there because they were trapped in the house because they couldn't leave the house. So
that's a legit series,
but so.
You just gotta be able to
I thought it was pretty good.
Deal with some raunchiness every now and again if that's not your thing. Because there's definitely some shit where you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the other series you got like what was it? The Walking Dead or The Walking Dead?
Dude, I watched that until they killed off all the cool peeps, and I was like, all right, I'm over this. like we used to have parties with our
I got
friends
bored.
every week when they release a new episode, and we'd order pizzas and drink and shit.
Mhm.
And then
This keeps going.
once Glenn Coco died, I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm out. Like he was my guy.
Well, I feel like once they got to the prison, it just
Yeah.
got boring. Like,
Well,
was it season
once
3 or 4?
once
It-
they
to me, I
started
got bored with
that
it.
second spinoff, it was like they took a lot of focus away from the original series, and it just started
Mhm.
getting like very predictable, and they started killing off all the like super popular characters. So I just lost interest.
Yeah.
As far as traditions, I know we didn't ask about traditions, but I was just thinking for Halloween, it's not a horror. I have to watch Young Frankenstein. It's
yeah.
like a top
yeah.
5-10 movie
Oh, yeah.
ever. So that's a tradition for us. We definitely watch that. We'll have like a thing. I mean, actually, when we get to Thanksgiving, I want to have the conversation. Like, there's only like what 2-3 Thanksgiving movies, if you really want to define it that way. I mean, you could. There's more, but it's not like Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah.
But Young Frankenstein for me is. I don't guess maybe I'm not a horror junkie. I'll take the like a Hitchcock movie, which is a little more suspense, but like good writing, or the funny Young Frankenstein. I don't know. I guess I could do with or without like hardcore, like just scaring the
murking
crap out of me
people.
so I
Yeah.
can't sleep type stuff. Yeah.
I haven't watched anything new recently. I think I got a lot of my like initial horror movie phase out when you're dating in like high school and college.
Yeah. But for me, like, I guess just because of my background of being a first responder and stuff, like, I'm just unaffected by it. I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Great.
You
And
probably
my
see
thought-
some gnarly
And my
shit.
thought immediately goes to, well, I have, but I mean, my thought immediately goes to, that's going to be a bitch to clean up, man. All
Yeah.
that,
That's
damn.
funny.
Like, I might as well just get a shovel. I mean, or let the
Stain.
birds take care of it, you know? Just, that's going to be a pain to clean up.
Stain's
No.
never coming out. I mean, all that
Exactly. It's like,
blood.
there's not enough hydrogen peroxide to get that out. Get the OxyClean.
Dude, I don't know how it got on my feed, but there's actually a guy that it's not Surf Pro, but it's some sort of professional company that comes in on homicide scenes after they've done all their investigating and shit. This guy comes in and he showed up on my feed. So every few nights I'll be scrolling and come across one of his videos, and it's kind of gross. He'll walk you through like the crime scene, and he's like, yeah, this is gonna fucking suck to clean up and like all that shit. And I have no idea what I Googled to get that on my Facebook feed, but it pops up every now and again.
Well, there was a really good podcast. It's probably still out there. By the way, if you're listening, subscribe to this podcast, Time to Dad. But it was it's not Making a Murder. It's Small Town Murder. So they would literally pick a murder and do a full-on research of the murder, and then the two guys, who were comedians by trade, would just make it funny, but also give you the real story of the murder. But they wouldn't make fun of anybody that died or a victim. It was always just like bumbling police forces or the murderer themselves and how ridiculous or crazy the whole thing was. And it was super interesting, like psychologically, the way they went about it. But
Sweet.
That's not, and what was the name of that podcast again?
Small Town Murder.
Small Town
I
Murder.
had
I have to look that up.
They're out.
I had a coworker, and when we were driving to like job sites, I don't know what podcast it was on, but it was always like a murder mystery podcast. So we'd be driving like an hour away,
Yeah,
and
that's a
she's
big thing.
forever listening to it. And I was like, all right, man. I mean, it wasn't for me, but she seemed to enjoy them. So
it's a part of our psyche. I think it just taps into something primal. It's
weird shit
it's a
like
little
that.
bit
Yeah,
messed up.
exactly.
but it is what it is, I guess.
Well, it just goes with that Halloween theme, you know, just trying to get into the devil and the
Yeah.
darker side, you know, and just get into it.
Nick's
But I think-
I mean, he's literally admitting that he had to that watching horror movies got girls turned on so that he could
Well,
parlay that.
not turned on. They just get freaked out. They would have to.
I got
they'd
through my
have to.
horror phase.
They'd bury their head in your chest or something, or you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wherever they go. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, oh shit. Well,
Good strategy.
thank you guys for sticking around. I think we gave you a massive list of horror movies and shows to check out if you haven't seen any of those. They're all pretty legit. So again, we appreciate you guys hanging out. I think we did well with the tangents this time. We didn't stray too far from the beaten path on this one. So thank you guys for sticking around. Like, subscribe, check out the Facebook group, and leave us some comments, and we will see you guys next week. Later.
Yeah.
Later, guys.